event. My name is Disu. I'm a Google Women Take Maker ambassador and your host for today's session. And I'm thrilled to have you with us all here. And I want to say thank you to our speaker guest, Saron Bisrat. She's going to be bringing insightful things about UI/UX design. So before we dive in, let's take some for some quick housekeeping rules to ensure we have a smooth, engaging experience. So one thing is that keep your mics mute, and if you have any questions, you can write them in the note, or after the session, you can ask us any questions that you have by muting. And you can use, as I said, you can use the chat to ask questions if you don't want to unmute. So I'll be keeping tabs on the chat. And so let's be respectful and engaging. So I want to introduce our speaker now, Saron.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Hello guys, my name is Saron Bisrat. Today I'm your mentor on UI UX design. We can discuss anything you want. You can ask any questions you want. You can even type it out as Bethel said. So we can wait for a few people for like 5 minutes and we can start. Thank you all for joining.
Okay, so let's give 5 minutes for others to join. Until then, if you have any questions, or if you want discuss something about women tech makers or like the Google Dev environment, you can ask me.
Sure.
Okay. How about we do this? How many of you are students? You can raise your hand or unmute and talk to me. Because if you're a student in your campus, okay. I see one person that raised their hands.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're a student, there is a way for you to form a Google community and for you to lead it. It's called Google GDG on Campus, and it is a great opportunity for you to learn something and to be into the dev environment. That's how I got started personally. So it's a great thing to get going in the dev environment. So I'll link it, or you can go head out into our Telegram channel and we'll post about it more.
That's great advice. You should all listen to Bethel. I learned with Bethel. Now she was one of the most cooperative, or like someone who arranged many things. So you should hear her advice. She's a very good mentor. What's the name of the Telegram channel?
Okay. It's called Women Tech Makers Ethiopia. You can search it WTM Ethiopia and it will come up. Or I'll mass email it for you guys if you're interested. Because it's a great opportunity that no one knows about it. Even outside of the Google Dev environment, there is like Microsoft Ambassador for your school. So those kind of things can help you out. You can get resources from them, you can get mentorship in those positions. So you can help others learn new things. You can also learn for yourself too. So look into it if you're a student.
Mm-hmm.
And for graduates, I'm sure you heard about like GDG Addis. Like if you're outside of Addis, you can also form a GDG, a Google Developer groups by applying to Google Developers groups. There is links that open up every now and then. You can apply for that too. And it's outside of schools, it's bigger, it's based on cities, so you'll get much more experience in that too. So I recommend it if you are a postgraduate or outside of school.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna hit the 1 minute mark. We're left with 1 minute. Or should we add more of it?
Um, I think we can start and others can join us, not to
Okay.
hurt the people that already joined.
Okay.
Okay, so introducing you again, Saron, a very esteemed UI UX designer. She's gonna be telling us about her journey, and I have questions I got from you guys about understanding UI UX, design process, tools and techniques, and a lot of questions about career goals and challenges and problems. So we can start with those. So my first question is, based on getting to know you, how did you get into UI UX design? Was it something you always wanted to do, or did you stumble upon it?
So I didn't know UIX existed before I went into Hilco, which is my college that I graduated from. Then,
Okay.
Jonathan, you're raising your hand. Do you have a question?
I
Okay.
don't think so.
No, continue. Continue.
Okay.
No.
So we started learning about front-end development, back-end development, and then I was curious about designing the front-end part of it. Not coding, but just the design part of it. And then that's when I learned there was something called UI UX design, where you don't have to code, you can just use your design perspectives and your design skills to basically help people who code. So I went into a deep dive trying to learn about UI UX design. And my journey, I started from doing projects instead of taking courses. So I'll show you what the good parts and the bad parts about doing that is in the later on. So if you have another question, I can go next.
Okay, so I can say you're more of a self-taught designer. You didn't
Yeah,
study UI
I
UX
was.
for.
Yeah, I did not take any courses or the formal part of learning. I didn't do it. I started from doing projects by myself and then upgrading myself by learning, watching YouTube, searching for questions, and doing all of that. Didn't have a structured form of learning.
Okay. So what is one thing you wish you knew when you were starting out in UI UX design?
One thing that I wish I knew is just because you love design or like you're good at combining colors or what people usually think design is, isn't the only um, like isn't the only thing you have to know when you want to get into UI UX design. It's more than that. You have to be creative, you have to be unique, you have to learn how to know how to meet deadlines, you need to be good at communicating with your clients, and it requires more soft skills and other skills than just knowing design and colors and basically what design is. So that's something that I didn't know and that I had to learn slowly. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, if you could describe your design in 3 words, what would you say? Because different designers have different way of describing their design styles. What would yours be?
In 3 words, is that what you said? Wait. Can you repeat
Or you
your
can use
question?
more.
Okay.
You could use more
I
words
don't
to
hear.
describe.
Okay. So, what I would use is clean, firstly, and more of. I'm a very like minimalistic person, so minimalistic is a second word, and third is Let me think. What can I use? I guess modern. I like modern designs and I like searching for modern new things that attract people. So I'll use modern.
Okay. So now let's get into the second session about understanding the basics of UI UX. So, what's the difference between UI and UX? Because I myself don't know what those things are separately. So, how do they work together too?
Sure. So when we say UI design or UX design, UI means either interface. The I stands for interface. So basically, it focuses on the aesthetics and interactive elements of The thing you're going to design, literally using colors and designs and curves and lines, many tools that we can use just to make the design pretty. When you open the app, you see that it's pretty, you see the user interface is good. So when you talk about user experience, you're gonna focus on user flow, usability, and experience. So it means when you enter a website or an app, you see what it looks like, and then you go, how easy is it to access a button? How easy is it to do something? Is my experience good, or is it giving me a hard time navigating through whatever I came here to do? So making people's life or the user's life easier is what user experience is. Interface is what it looks like.
Okay, so I learned something new today. So what does like user-centric design mean to you, and why is it so important to focus on that?
So why we want this mainly is to avoid frustration, low conversation rates, or users being like frustrated when they open an app or a website. So firstly, when you design something, it's not for you, it's for your user. So you need to understand what they want, what the end goal of the app is, what they're trying to target, and at the end, are they satisfied? Is the engagement good? Did they find what they want? And are they willing to come back again for that service or for that specific thing that you're working on? So if you can accomplish all of that, it means your user experience and your user interaction is very good. So that's the thing you want to accomplish at the end of the road.
Okay, so how would you explain like to someone who has no idea about your UX? How would you explain to them like what it is? Because like most people don't know about it since it's not taught formally in schools. So like how would you
Yeah.
explain it to them?
Sure. So how I explain UI UX design is, for example, you are given an ink to write something, but you have to do it with your hand, and then at the end of the day, your hand is going to be messed up, and you're not gonna like that. So people or a company come create a pen cover or the thing we call pen because it's accessible, it's easy, you're not gonna ruin your hands, you're gonna write very easily. So the UI part of it is actually building the pen, since it's gonna make you write without ruining your hands. So the experience part of it is why we have different kinds of pen. They all write, they all look the same, like maybe a little different, but they all look the same. Their anatomy is the same. But what they do is some of them have rubber, so their experience is going to be different. Some of them are long, some of them are pointy, some of them are somewhat different. So it makes you choose your experience. Is your experience good? Is it not going to hurt your hand? Is it going to write good? So that's the experience part of it. So when we come to the website and app development, you have words, you have to click a button, you have to click some stuff, you have to read texts. But what UI does and what UI UX does is give you the form to tell you, go here, do this, do that. Basically, it is a psychology. So it learns from your psychology, and then it shows you what you're supposed to do. So when you say submit, you're going to need to click that button, and then it will do the action. When it says write your first name, write your last name, it's going to tell you what to do without thinking much about it. So it's going to make your life easier, unless you want to, instead of doing all of other things that it's harder. Yeah. So thank you.
Okay, so like what is the most common misconception about UI UX design that you'd like to clear up?
So yeah, what I usually get when I say I'm a UI UX designer is it's just painting colors, it's just arranging fonts and just it's basically a child's job is what people think, but it's not. Because when you first go into doing a design, it's not just arranging colors and doing the other things. You have to learn about what the user wants, what kind of color or what kind of hierarchy does the person need. There's a more lot of it, more lot to it than just arranging colors and basically stacking words. You need to learn the psychology of the person and finally target what they want. And more, why do people do like graphic designs and UI UX instead of just using words and lining them up? It's because it attracts people and it makes your life easier. That's why people want to come in and look at very good designs because, oh, this looks good, so I wonder what it has more. But if it looks bad from the start, you're gonna like, if it can't be pretty, I don't think it can compel me to do. It can't compel me to buy stuff. It can't compel me to sign in. It can't compel me to do anything the business is striving to do. So it's not just a child's game, just more of the psychology of what people want them to do.
True, true. It is said like don't judge a book by its cover, but when we see something, we want it to look pretty. Even like signing up
Yes,
to courses, we look at the design, and it will lead us to sign
exactly.
up more. True.
Yes.
So let's talk about the design and the design process and the collaboration. So like walk me through the design process. How do you go from an idea to a finished product?
Sure. So there are three things we say, or more of four, we use as a UX design. First is our client is going to give us a very vague and a very non-formal form of what they want. So we want to gather that information and then break it down into steps that are clear and well written, and then send it back to the user or the client, basically. So we form a connection between the user or the client and us. And then after they approve that, we go into the next step, which is called low fidelity wireframe. Low fidelity wireframe is just a drawing. You can just sketch it on your like on a piece of paper or anything you find. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to make sense that much. It's where you're trying to put the words into design. So you just place squares and circles for icons and set it up, and then again you go to your client and then say, this is what I'm planning. Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything that's not good? You discuss that. And then third is high fidelity wireframe. So high fidelity wireframe is basically what UI UX is. You design it, you color it, you arrange it, you align it, you do everything to make it pretty. And then you go to the UI UX part, which is still in the high fidelity. You make the user's experience good, and then you continue doing that. So finally, there is a prototyping stage. Prototyping stage is the way to show your user or client what it's going to look like without being coded, or the end product is not done yet, but you want to tell them this is what it's going to look at the end. What you're going to do is use animations, um, call to actions, which is when you click a button, it's supposed to take you somewhere else. You're going to show them when there's a hover over the button, it means it's doing this. It's basically interactive, like it's literally going to look like the app. So this is basically it, and then this will be sent to the coder, and then they're going to use this as their final product. So this is basically the step we go to UI to design an app or a website.
Okay. That is a great process because from ideation to finalization, the client is more involved in decision making.
Yeah.
So talking about the client, like what if they have a different vision than you do, or like they might ask something that is unrealistic or that doesn't even go with the laws of UI UX or how you're supposed to do things. So how do you handle it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So As many restaurant owners say, as UI UX, we are very similar. You do what your users want or your clients want. It's not about your needs; it's about their needs. So there are, you try to come into a common ground in the middle. So you explain to them why that idea is not good, firstly, because you're the expert here. But if they don't agree, you try to do somewhat of what they say, but you try to explain as much as you can using your expert knowledge, not just using words. You actually design it and then you say which one looks better, which one is more acceptable by the total user. And then if they still can't accept that, well, you'll have to design their idea. But most of the cases that I have seen, they usually cave because you're right and then it makes sense your way. That's why you're called the professional.
True,
Yeah.
true. That's why you're there to help them out. So, what is
Yeah.
your favorite part of the design process and why?
Personally, I love doing prototypes because that's when I actually see everything coming together and then all of the hard work, all of the research, the doing all of the alignments and auto layouts and constraints comes to life and then we can see the final product and people will be like will not even ask you any more questions and they're going to say okay, this looks good, I finally trust the process. So I love that. I love prototyping.
Yeah, okay. So, how do you collaborate with developers or other team members? Any tips on making the relationship smoother? Because I've worked with some UI UX developers, UI UX designers as a developer myself, and so how do you make it like smoother the
Okay,
relationship or
so
like make it for them?
there are many platforms to do UI UX design, but the main one that usually everybody knows is called Figma. So Figma is an app where you can design anything, and it has a collaborative tool where you can add messages, you can tag people, you can share to many people, you can restrict them from editing, you can give them viewing permission, they can edit. So basically, it's also a collaborative task, like platform. So they can comment, they can text, they can do anything. You're going to communicate through Figma, basically. It's going to make your life much easier because they're not going to say, change this button or please do this to that. They're going to exactly go to that place they want to comment on, and then they're going to click a button exactly where they want, and then you can continue. Even on that chat button, you can go through a thread. So it's not just one button having many comments on just one Figma file. It goes like a normal chat. It's so seamless that you can even tell that it's there. So you can use Figma for collaboration with your team, basically.
Okay, that's great. Later on, when we talk about
Yeah.
tools, I'll let you know, guys, how you can
Okay.
use Figma version for free. So,
Did you ask me a question? Like my network just got cut off. Um, Sorry,
Can I
Becca,
ask a
I can't
question?
hear you. Is it from my network?
No, I think it's her network.
Yeah. Little, I can't hear you.
okay, I think my mic went out.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, so my question was, um, what is the most challenging part of the process, and how do you overcome it?
Okay, so the most challenging part of your UX design when you work with a client or an end user is getting feedbacks. Usually from a person that's not into the IT industry. They're gonna give you many feedbacks, and then until you get used to it, critic is everybody's enemy. So having critic on almost everything you do, even if you're good, not just a beginner, even if you're very, very good, critic is going to be one of my most things that I did not like. So eventually, when you grow and then when you get advanced, you learn to accept the critic and then work towards the greater goal. So that's basically what my the challenging part of UI UX was for me.
Okay, so we talked about tools and techniques, and you told me about your favorite tool, which is Figma. So how
Yeah.
do you decide and what you love it? So the other thing I want to ask you about tools and techniques is that how do you decide between creating a low fidelity wireframe versus a high fidelity prototype?
Sure. You don't just choose. It's kind of your must do both when you're working with a client because it's part of the process. But um, honestly speaking, nobody does it. Nobody does lower fidelity wireframe because we don't usually go through the actual work. So, Jonathan, I think it's a podcast. Okay, so you're supposed to do low fidelity wireframe just for your thought process, to just organize your thoughts. What am I doing next? What is continuing? And what's my end product? To just have that vision. But high fidelity is basically the design, so that's a must. You can't skip that step. That's the whole process. But a person who does low fidelity wireframe is very organized. He knows what the end goal is. He knows what he's doing, and then he or she is not gonna change anything in the middle of the process. So that's basically their difference and why we do them.
Okay, so other questions.
You're
What is your
echoing.
favorite resource of learning new designs? You mentioned YouTube, so are there other courses like you like or any specific YouTube channels?
Um, so there are basically two ways to learn your UX design. For me, it's by doing projects, and I get those projects or UI UX designs from Behance, or from you can even get it from Pinterest. You can go through Behance and Pinterest, and then you can replicate those. Other ways to learn is there's a beginner course in Coursera. It's free. You can learn those, but I like Figma more. Um, I currently don't have the name of the person I learned that from, but I can link it here in a few seconds. But those are the two ways, Coursera and YouTube. You can just search beginner to intermediate level UI UX design in YouTube. And then there's a 3-hour course. That's a very good essential one to learn. And if you're the kind of person who likes learning from practicing or doing it yourself, you can go to Behance and Pinterest and learn by doing it by yourself. You can replicate it and then you learn more on the way.
Okay, you can send me the link for the resource and I'll share it in our final summary in our channel. So before we move
Sure.
on from the tools and techniques, I said get Figma Pro for free, and that is it's using the student free plan. So if you have like a school email or even like a normal email, but you can mention your school and like attach your current uh, like schedule, it can give you permission after they look into it. So you can start designing right away.
Okay. Is
Okay,
that a question? I
so
did not get.
oh, it's not. I'm just telling them that there is a free
Oh,
version. They can access
okay.
Figma Pro by using their student email or like their ID or like any student related stuff they have. They can take a picture of it or like, send it as a file, and they will give them
Oh,
a free
okay.
version.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you mentioned that user research and testing is very integral. So how do you get to know your users? and what is your approach for the user research?
So, the conventional way of doing your user research and testing is, okay, Mada, you're raising your hand.
I think it was a mistake.
Oh, okay. So the proper way to do it is there's two ways. You can send out questionnaires and all of that stuff, like forms, questionnaires, asking a bunch of people questions. That's the way to do it. Another is doing a research through your phone, through your PC, basically going deep dive already on resources that are on the internet. There are two ways of doing that, but it depends on what kind of projects those are. There are two different kind of projects where you can implement that. When it's, for example, I did a project where it's creating comic books for people who are like not privileged, basically. So you have to go and ask them what they want. You can't just find that on the internet. It's a very niche part of Ethiopia or Addis Ababa, so you need to go and give them questionnaires, or you can go ask them by face-to-face or in person. That's the kind of questionnaire or survey that you have to pull out. But for example, when it's when you're designing an app where it's like food delivery, something like websites, normal websites, you can do those from the internet. It's not something that you really need to know specific users' interests to design that. So you're good to go with just researching on the internet. Yes, you're not.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. First of all, can you speak in English? Amharic?
Can you speak in English?
Amharic.
Oh, is everybody from here?
Okay, you can ask the question. I will translate it later on. Go ahead.
Okay, can't.
Oh, okay. Oh, Aniko, I saw you said speaking in Mark. Okay. ማውራት ትችላለህ፣ ችግር የለም።
እንደዛ ከሆነ በደንብ እንግባባለን።
እሺ፣ ግን ድምጽ ርቋል። your mic አስጠጉ።
እሺ፣ አንዴ ማይክ ልቀይር።
ይቻላል።
አሁን ይሰማል?
ያ
ይሰማል።
በቃ እሺ። የመጀመሪያው ጥያቄ ፍሬምወርክ ማለት ምን ማለት እንደሆነ አጠቃላይ በጀነራል ፍሬምወርክ ማለት ምን ማለት እንደሆነ እንድትነግሪኝ እንፈልጋለን። እና ሁለተኛው ጥያቄ ደግሞ ሆስት አድርገሽ ታውቂያለሽ እንደዚህ ዌብሳይቶች?
ሆስት ያ
ዶሜን ኔም ምናምን ተከራይተሽ?
I'm the UI UX designer, so domain name ምናምን አልከራይም። ኮድ የሚያደርጉት ሰዎች ናቸው።
እና ዶሜን ኔም ኦኬ። እሺ አንቺ ኮዲንግ አይደለም እንዴ UX ዲዛይን ስታደርጊ ኮዲንግ ትሰራለሽ?
No, I just do the design. ኮድ አላደርግም።
ኦኬ ቆይ እስኪ UI UXን በሲምፕል ዌይ ዲፋይን ስታደርጊ ቆይ ምንድን ነው ዋናው ስራው?
ቤዚክሊ አሁን ዌብሳይት እና አፕ አለ አይደለ? ዩ ዲዛይን እሱ ምን መምሰል እንዳለበት።
ኦኬ እሱ ምን መምሰል እንዳለበት እንጂ ኦኬ ስኬቺንግ አይነት ነገር ነው።
ስኬቺንግ እና በቃ ቤዚክሊ ይሄ ራሱ ቁጭ ዌብሳይቱን የሚያመጡት ከዩአይ ዩኤክስ ዲዛይነሮች ተቀብለው ዱ ሬፕሊኬት ያደርጉታል ዲዛይን የተደረገውን ነገር።
ስለዚህ ከኤችቲኤምኤል እና ጃቫስክሪፕት አይገናኝም ማለት ነው።
they code it በሱ way. There's a way አሁን ለምሳሌ you design a UI UX design like Figma ላይ there's እንትኖች አሉ plugins አሉ that can give you the CSS, the HTML to code the website or app.
ፍሮንት ኢንድ ዴቨሎፐር እና UI UX ዲዛይነር ይለያያል ማለት ነው።
ይለያያል ግን it's close kind of it's close. Yeah.
እሺ እና ፍሬምወርክ ምን ማለት ነው? የመጀመሪያው ማለት
What do you mean by framework? Like የምን framework?
ለምሳሌ ኖድ.ጄኤስ አይነት ቲንጎች
that this is a design tool ስለዚህ የለውም የምንጠቀመው ቱል ከሆነ ፊግማ ነው የምንጠቀመው the other is just a design like እንደ ፎቶሾፕ ምናምን ፊግማ የሚባል ነገር አለ
ኦኬ እኔ ጨርሽ
እሺ Kanaan.
Okay, I think when you meant framework, you were like asking about pre-built የተደረጉ tools ናቸው, like libraries ማለት ናቸው and Node.js. Since I'm a developer, I can tell you that. Like what she does is that UI UX ማለት is the drawings of like what the website is supposed to look like, because as a developer I don't have time to like choose colors with the client or like how to skip them out. I don't have time for that. So as a developer ማለት ነው. So what they do is they came up with this creative designs for what like the app is supposed to look like what the like anything the web app or ሊሆን ስልክ app ሊሆን ይችላል or the website ሊሆን ይችላል to look like. So after she designed it, the developer job is like የተሳለውን ነገር replicate አድርጎ ወደ ኮድ መቀየር ነው. So the Node.js framework that you mentioned ያደረከው it's like a library, you know, a structure that simplifies like developmental process ማለት ነው. So I hope ተመልሶልሃል.
ዋው ተመልሶልኝ.
Okay, great. So can I?
Yeah.
Kina?
Kanaan, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Okay.
That these fields have a job opportunity in Ethiopia because clients give all the works to developer. And the second one is, how long can it take to be perfect in this field?
Yes, so for your first question, there's lots and lots of UX jobs here. Like it's very saturated front end and back-end development. So front-end ብዙ ስራ መስራት ስለማይፈልጉ for UI UX design, like the design part of it, they don't want to do it. They just want to code. So people, they're leaving their jobs because they don't like that part of it. So UI UX design is becoming more familiar and more jobs are coming. So even personally, from my own experience, there are lots and lots of UI UX jobs. So you don't have to think about that. The second question is, how much does it take to be perfect? It depends on how much you practice, how much you're willing to learn, how much you are dedicated. So if you're a student and if you have class ምናምን, not perfect, but very good stage diameters, it takes around 2-3 months. You need to design and do more projects, like two projects per week. You need at least 2 projects per week. So if you can do 2 projects per week, and if you have time for 1 project, it's gonna take more than 3 months. But if you're even more dedicated, it's gonna be less than that. So yeah, it depends on how free you are, how willing you are to learn. Any questions? Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Who was raising their hands? On the comment, Fikr Johannes, how do you take a leap from being an amateur design to a professional? This is one area I'm struggling in. Would love some advice. Okay. Firstly, you can tell by your barassish that you're getting better. It starts to look like a professional website or an app that you're building, and you're not just combining colors just to combine colors. You're not just putting things together just for the sake of doing it. You're actually learning people's needs. You're የሆነ ፖይንት ለማድረግ የሆነ ቦታ ለመድረስ የምር አስበሽበት ፕላን አድርገሽ ሁሉንም ስቴፕ እያለፍሽ ስትሰሪ, you know you're getting to the professional level. You're not just designing to design, you're designing to reach your end goal or the customer's end goal. እሱ ላይ የደረስሽ ከመሰለሽ you're reaching your professional level. And yeah, if you're practicing more and doing ብዙ, you're eventually gonna reach there either way. So ልደቱ ተስፋዬ, could you explain more that I handle it easy, right? I don't get the question, sorry.
I think it's about which one is better, Figma, Miro, or Canva. I think
Oh, okay.
it's for that question.
Mira or Micro? Miro, I don't know it, sorry. But Canva is good for just a quick design. Like, I'm gonna design a poster or I'm gonna design a very quick PowerPoint. That kind of stuff is Canva is good. But for the bigger part of it, as a UI UX designer, Figma is the best. It has many tools, it has many plugins, it's very easy, it's easy to learn, and it's one of the most famous apps for UI UX design. So I recommend that you should use Figma. What is expected for me to be in the job of UI UX? What to show on my portfolio? Can I put the replica app and websites I'm making? Yeah, so basically UI UX job doesn't need any graduate or degree or anything. You can just practice and practice and practice. And there is a tool called Framer where you can build your portfolio. It's basically, it creates a website for you. So what you do is you design your thing that you want to design and put it in Figma, and then you can link that Figma into your Framer website. The website is just, you can make it online. It's a website making tool. So you just need lots of portfolios. It doesn't have to be big. You can just do a one-page website and then make sure it's very structured and looks good, and make a mock-up for it, and then put it in your portfolio, and your portfolio can be made by Framer. Thank you.
I think we have another question from Mary.
From who?
Mary.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's not a question. I just want to mention some thoughts about product designing. So, like እዚህ ላሉ ለሁሉ ማለት ነው። Product designing, it's not only about ኢንተርፌሱን ዲዛይን ማድረግ ወይም ደግሞ ማሳመር ብቻ ሳይሆን it's about sorry ይሰማል አይደል ድምጼ?
Yeah, someone.
Yes. Product design, it's about አንደኛ ቢዝነስ ኦሪየንትድ ማድረግ, like every product ቢዝነስ ኦሪየንትድ ማድረግ። ሁለተኛ ነገር ደግሞ አንድ ዩዘር የሆነ ዌብሳይት ላይ ኦር ደግሞ የሆነ ፕሮዳክት ላይ ገብቶ ከዛ እንዴት ነው ኤክስፒሪየንሱ መሆን ያለበት? ሃቭ ዩ ኤቨር ጎ ቱ የሆኑ አንዳንድ ዌብሳይቶች ላይ ምናምንና like ሎስት ሆናችሁ አታውቁም? የሆነ እንደዚህ አንዳንድ ሊንኮች ላይ ስፔሻሊ ደግሞ ለምሳሌ ሎካል ዩኒቨርሲቲ ዌብሳይቶች ላይ ምናምን ነገር ስትገቡ it's በጣም ሄክቲክ ነው እዛ ውስጥ ናቪጌት ለማድረግ ምናምን ነገር። ሶ it's the UI UX designer responsibility ምንድነው? ስቶሪ ቴሊንግ ነው። ሶ ዩዘሩ ይመጣል፣ ከዛ እንዴት ነው የሚያደርገው? እንዴት ነው ወደ ፕሮዳክት ለምሳሌ አንድ ታለንት ማኔጅመንት አፕ ቢሆን እንዴት ነው ፖርትፎሊዮውን አስገብቶ እንዴት ነው አፕላይ ማድረግ የሚችለው የሚለውን ነገር ኢንቱይቲቭ በሆነ መንገድ ፕሮዳክቱን ማቅረብ ነው አንደኛው ነገር። ሁለተኛው ነገር ደግሞ ቢዝነስ ኦሪየንትድ ማድረግ ነው። ለምሳሌ አይ ካን ጊቭ ኤግዛምፕል፣ በኋላ ሊንክ መላክ እችላለሁ። ሶ ከቢዝነስ ኦሪየንትድ ሳይድ እንዴት ነው የሚያደርገው? ኢት ዊል በዲዛይኖች አማካኝነት ለየትኛው ያ ፕሮዳክት ለየትኛው ዩዘር ነው የተሰራው የሚለውን ነገር አይደንቲፋይ የምታደርጉበት እንትን ይኖራል። ለምሳሌ ሊንክድኢን አይታችሁ ከሆነ like it's በጣም ስማርት ወይ like እንዴት ዲዛይን እንደተደረገ how people interact with it ምናምን። ግን አንዳንድ ይሄ ፕሪሚየም ፊቸሮች አሉት አይደለ? ሶ እነዛን ፕሪሚየም ፊቸሮች እንዴት አድርገው ነው ዩዘሩ ሊያመጣ የሚችለው የሚለውን ነገርም ያጠናል። like more than ከዲዛይኑ ይሄ ከኢንተርፌሱ በላይ ማለት ነው። so I just want to mention that ቅድም like ኖድጄስ ምንድነው አይነት ጥያቄዎች ተነስተዋል። እሱ ላይ አዳፕ ለማድረግ ያክል ተመልሷል።
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
We have a few more questions to go through before.
Sure. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have one more question in the chat, and we can go through the student questions that we got from the questionnaires.
Rita
So
and
the first one I think is from Kadrus. He said, how do you test whether a color combination are visually compelling and functional across different devices and screens? And I think he asked about, did you consider accessibility when designing UI? If so, how?
Okay. So there are many. You don't just choose colors. Psychology allowing you to choose a color. So, for example, when you're choosing for a kids app or for a food app, you choose orange for a reason. It's usually appetizing, and there are more psychologists where you can learn it from many different websites. Blue is for calm. ደጋሚ መተህ እንድትጠቀመው የምትፈልገው አፕ ምናምን usually የምታዘወትረው app is blue for a reason, like Telegram, Facebook, that kind of thing. So once you choose your main color based on your psychology, you can choose your other colors like አብሮት የሚሄዱትን colors using a color wheel. There's something called a color wheel where you can get it online. It's basically gives you a palette of all colors that goes with that specific psychology. So for example, if it's orange matches with blue black ilahal, so you use blue black as your secondary color and primary as your main color. So you know psychologically and it's proven that it matches, so you go with that. It has ways that you use colors. It's not just choosing and picking whatever color you want. That's how you know that it's gonna look visually appealing at the end of the day. And you can tweak it yourself because you're the UI UX designer and you can tell if it looks good or not using, for example, if you're using orange, lighter colors of orange, darker colors of orange are gonna look good because it's not gonna be different sets of colors in one person's eye. So that's how you know it's gonna be visually appealing at the end. So do you consider accessibility when designing this UI? Accessibility, I don't really understand what accessibility is towards UI. Sorry, can you elaborate that?
I think he meant like for disabled people, inclusion. So like, what if I saw
They're colorblind?
or yeah.
Sadly, no. But if you do, it's very good. If you focus on colors that, for example, I think they can't see red, blue, and some other color, right? So if you focus on other colors, if you know your end users are the diverse people, that will be very good. Personally, I've never done that because my users or the people I'm going to reach out to are majority of them are not susceptible to that. Okay, Rita, a question. Let me answer. I'm a beginner, so tell me the way you go. Okay, so beginner coach, the thing you have to do is መጀመሪያ ለራስሽ you know what kind of person you are. ስለዚህ ማጥናት ነው የሚሻልሽ ወይስ ዲዛይን ማድረግ like practice ማድረግ? እሱን ከወሰንሽ በኋላ what you do is ማጥናት ነው የሚሻለኝ ማንበብ ነው የሚሻለኝ like ትክክለኛ ወይን መከተል ለምፈልገው ካልሽ ኮርሴራ ላይ UI UX beginner to UI UX ብለሽ ትመዘገቢና you learn that. ከዛም በኋላ ደግሞ YouTube ላይ there are different courses የሚያስተምርሽ ላይ ኮምፖነንት ምንድነው፣ አውቶ ሌይአውት ምንድነው፣ እንዴት ነው የከለር ፓሌት የምንፈጥረው፣ እንዴት ነው ዌብሳይት ሪስፖንሲቭ ማደርገው፣ all of that question የሚመልስልሽ ነገር አለ። ግን if you're the kind of person እንትን መማር የምትፈልጊው እየሰራሽ ከዌብሳይቶች you can choose የፈለግሽው ዌብሳይት ከዛ ድጋሚ ስሪው እሱን ከዛ you'll find problems in it ይሄን መስራት አቃተኝ ትያለሽ። so እሱን ሶልቭ ለማድረግ you go and search ከዛ ይሄን ተማርኩ እያልሽ you go and again and then eventually you'll learn many steps ከዛ ትችያለሽ። ከዛ more sophisticated የሆነ ፕሮጀክት እየሰራሽ you advance your level and then you become a beginner to intermediate and then to a professional. I hope I answered your question, Rita. Okay, Kana.
ኦኬ ተመልሼ እንተናል ያኔ ጥያቄ ማለት ነው UI UX ላይ ልክ እንደ ዌብ ዴቨሎፕመንት ሪስፖንሲቭ ማድረግ እንችላለን ወይንስ ደግሞ ለየብቻ ነው? ለምሳሌ ለፎን ለብቻው ኮምፒውተር ምናምን ለደስክቶፕ ምናምን ለየብቻው ነው የምንሰራው።
So ለየብቻ ነው የምትሰሪው፣ ግን there are ways to make your life easier. You don't have to design each and everything like ለምሳሌ አንድ ዴስክቶፕ ነው የሰራሽው፣ ልክ ለስልክ ለመስራት እንደ አዲስ ሁሉንም ነገር ላለመስራት you use constraints የሚባል auto layout components ምናምን የሚባሉ ነገሮች ትጠቀሚ። You just need to resize them. You don't have to literally do everything when you use those. ስለዚህ eventually you have to do another page ለሱ እንደ ዌብሳይት just ሳይዙን like ስለለዋወጥሽው አይለወጥም. You have to design each and every page, but there's a way to make it easier using like auto layout components and frames. There are more to it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the real life applications and like what project are you really proud of and what does it stand out to you?
So I did plastic waste management app. No, it's going to be used in Rwanda, and what it does is it connects like ቆሻሻ የሚሰበስብ ከሰብሳቢ ጋር። So ቆሻሻ አለኝ ብለህ you call, and then እዛ አካባቢ ያለ truck ያለው ሰው like it's a company, so they have trucks and cars and የሚገፉ ሰዎች ምናምን። ስለዚህ እዛ አካባቢ ያለ ሰው ይመጣል ይቀበልሃል እና they go and dump it in the trash የሚደረግበት ቦታ. So the end goal is to keep the country clean ማለት ነው. So doing that had በጣም rigorous የሆነ step በጣም ረዥም ነበር because it had የአድሚን ዌብሳይት አለ which is a website, it's big, and then ለኛ አለ for the users የምንጠቀመው አፕ አለ። ከዛም በኋላ ቆሻሻውን የሚሰበስቡት ሰዎች ደግሞ የሚጠቀሙት አፕ አለ። So we designed three different websites, like three different apps basically. It's for three different users. So it's, for example, undo a whole process 30 page ቢፈጅ it's going to be times 3. So it was very challenging, it was very inspiring. You had to meet with Rwanda ያሉ ሰዎች, like you have to ask them questions, you need to learn communication and more, and it took many months. You have to talk to front-end developers, back-end developers. You have to go again and again ድጋሚ ለማስተካከል UX design ምን እንደሚመስል, and that challenged me and I loved that the most.
Okay. So let's go to like an industry insight question that I got. What's one trend in UI UX design that you're really excited about right now?
Sorry.
What's one trend in UI UX design that you are really excited about right now? Because like I can see like what UI UX used to be back even 5 years is not the same now.
Yeah, exactly. So አሁን በጣም እየተወደደ ያለ የUX design is putting gradients and blurs at the back of your website. Like ሌላ ጊዜ ዌብሳይት ስንገባ it's just there's a big picture, ከዛም በኋላ መሀል ላይ there's a text that says like welcome or something, and then it goes into boxes and then another box. But now what they're doing is it's just like ሁለት ከለሮች ያደባልቃሉ ከኋላ. So it's not just a big picture. ስትገቢ what attracts you is not just the picture, it's what it says. ከዛን ልክ እዛ ጋር there's different kind of motions and animations to it. So yeah, the landing page, which is the gradients and basically animation. I love prototyping animation. That's the new thing that UI UX is right now. አሁን የመጣ and that I love.
Yeah, okay. I think we have one more question in the chat. It says, how do you UX designer interact with product managers? I think you answered this by saying you can use Figma to interact with dev to make interesting frames. So I think this is answered. Let me know if you have more questions in the chat. Said UI jobs projected to grow in the coming years. Also, the average AI ability design how we set ourselves apart from the present. Okay, like me, I had the same question, so I think what is the impact of the AI in the future of UI UX design? Are you excited or nervous about it?
So that's a good question. Something that I read about it is on LinkedIn is there's a new AI that's came in. What it does is analyze ያደርገውና ዌብሳይቶችን like it learns from analyzing websites and then analyze ካደረገ በኋላ it creates websites for you ማለት ዌብሳይት የሚሰራ AI ነው. So it's struggling because it doesn't have UI ጥሩ አይደለም. UX it's not good የተሰራው. So it needs በጣም perfect የሆነ UI UX design to actually accomplish ፕሮምፕት ካረጋችሁት በኋላ መማር የሚችለው ኦልሬዲ ባለ ዌብሳይቶች እና UI UX ዲዛይኖች ነው። ግን it's not good. What we have is not good. So it can learn from something that's not good. So at the end of the day, የሚሰጠን output is going to be really bad because it doesn't have a proper thing. It didn't learn from something that is good. So at the end of the day, we're going to be in high demand because design is very creative. AI learns, it doesn't create. So as long as you're creating, as long as you're creative and unique, UI UX is ብዙ መተካት የማይችል ስራ።
Okay. So what is the job market currently? You've been asked about it before too, but like especially in Ethiopia or like freelancing or remote working from outside, like what is the job market like?
So at first I taught UI UX design. Oh, there's ብዙ ስራ የለም, like why did I learn ምናምን ብዬ ነበር. ግን it's all in how much you can provide. I was just sitting on my designs without doing anything. ግን ዝም ብዬ apply አደረግ ነበረ. It didn't get me anywhere. ከዛን someday I just like ሁሉንም የሰራኋቸውን ነገሮች አስተካክዬ and then I put them in my portfolio. Like I said, framer ተጠቅሜ I did a website. But the website is like ራሴ አይደለም ኮድ ያደረኩት. You can it's a website that creates a website for you. And at Besu search, I put in my LinkedIn, and then just from that, I got 3 job offers, and then so you can just say, "Yalachu nagar bamulu," like practice, and then make your portfolio and just share it in social media. That's all it takes, and if you do that, for sure, just put yourself out there, practice more, know that you did good. And obviously, again, something that people need to learn is just because you put yourself out there without following the basic steps of UI UX, it's not going to get you a job. Make sure that you're like on intermediate level. የሆነ ያክል እንደምታውቁ የሆነ ያክል practice አድርጋችሁ እንደምታውቁ ካወቃችሁ በኋላ you can do that, and then for sure you're gonna get a job.
True, and to add a bit more about this, in our past week session, we talked about like how we could leverage LinkedIn, and our speaker said like your network is your net worth. So network more LinkedIn, like that's how you get your job basically now these days. And I have one more question in the chat again. What kind of portfolio projects do you recommend? Should we add case studies in our portfolios?
So case studies are very, very good. But one bad thing about it is time consuming. So if you already have it, that's a very big plus. You should really add it. Again, if you're looking for a job right now, and if you don't have a case study, just linking your Figma file or doing a mock-up of Isarashachon designoch and not like putting it out there is enough. But in the long run, doing your case studies and putting in your portfolio is a very good plus.
Okay. So as the time is running out, we have
one more
closing question that I have for you. Oh, there's a question that's or
email.
So what is the most
email or LinkedIn? Okay, you can ask.
Yeah, we'll share her LinkedIn in our channel. We'll post it, and I can share it right now too. So she can answer this question in the meantime. What is one wisdom for aspiring UI UX designers that you have?
Just because it does not look good or it's not like መጀመሪያ እንዳሰባችሁት for example you have የሆነ picture in your head እና ልክ ስትሰሩት አልመጣለ and then ተስፋ ያስቆርጣል. So just because that's not the end goal or መጨረሻ ላይ ስላልመጣላችሁ doesn't mean you're not good. Does not mean you're not going to live up to the stage you want. You just need to practice and know that eventually you get there and everybody started from kahona ቦታ እና just practice, do your best, know your passion and do all of that to achieve your dreams. Jonathan?
Okay. So, how... Oh. Like, okay. I can answer that. Jonathan?
Like, he raised his hands up.
እሺ ይሰማል?
ይሰማል።
የመጀመሪያ ክላይንትሽ እንዴት አገኘሽ?
So የመጀመሪያ client was when I was in the ሂልኮ የነበርኩ እና a friend of mine had a front end job ከዛን በቃ እሱ ሰው like እኔ UI UX ሞክር ነበረ እና UI UX ዲዛይነር ታውቂያለሽ ወይ ሲላት like ያ ካላለች እና she recommended me and then I got the job. ከዛን እሱን ከሰራው በኋላ I added that to my portfolio and then I started doing more and then LinkedIn ላይ ፖስት ሳረገው ነው የመጣው ሌላ ስራ።
ኦኬ እንዴት አመንሽ? ስለሽ እንዴት ይሰጠኛል ስለዋለው ልሳመሽ?
You just do it. For example እሱ ዲዛይን አሁን ሳየው it's not good. It's literally not good, but you just have to take the first step. You did it at the end of the day, you took the first step. All you can do በቃ ካልወደዱት መባረር ነው. That's the worst that can happen, right? And then በቃ like just do it. ከዛ ጥሩ ከመጣ ጥሩ ነው። ቀስ እያልክ እየተማርክ ትሄዳለህ። ከዛ eventually የምትፈልገው አይነት ስራ ላይ ትደርሳለህ. You will be really good at it. ከፈለጋችሁ within like 1 minute I can show you ምን አይነት እንደነበረ እና ምን አይነት እንዳደረኩት ነው. It will just take like 1 minute.
እሺ
Yeah, you can go for it.
ብታሳይኝ ደስ ይላል።
እሺ
Okay, until then, what's the difference between... Okay, here in the there is this question that said, what's the difference between front end and UI UX design? I mean, your first design before it's coded or just design? Okay, the difference between front end and UI UX is front end is done by the developers. You use like HTML, React, Flutter, like whatever stack that you choose. For UI UX, it is just a sketch or a design. So it's just a drawing on the computer,
Okay.
basically. So we replicate, like, we the designers replicate like what Saron made in our code. So it takes a lot of, like, your UX design takes a lot of creativity, and like the developer is basically doing the implementation of that design. So like they look for like, does this button make sense here? Because I cannot like code in the meantime and look for like, I cannot ask myself like, does this color work? Because I'm a developer. I don't know nothing about like color schemes or like, as you said, like color wheels. I've never even heard about it before. So it's something like developers do separate. So if you have Mahadir Saman solution.
guys, Beta, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
So this was the first design that I did for Kaizen የሚባል company እና የራሴን ዌብሳይት ስሩልኝ like to represent my company የተባልኩት እና this was literally my first design. I was a second year student and at the moment I thought it was good and there's many problems to it. It doesn't look that good. So አሁን like after I learned a lot, የሰራሁት ራሱ ነው. I literally have every information ራሱ ነው. I didn't add any more information to it. The color, the brand was ቀይና ጥቁር እና ነጭ. ሌላ ምንም ከለር አልተጠቀምኩም. ሶስቱን ተጠቅሜ what it changed was ከዚህ ወደዚህ. So eventually like ራሱን የተሰጣችሁ ነገር ወደ something that's more good, more attractive, that makes more sense መለወጥ ይቻላል. So that's what I wanted to say. This was me 5 or like 4 years ago. And then now you can change that specific thing to this. And then when I say, animation is animation. Yeah. So this is basically what I wanted to show you.
እኔ ይህንን ያነሳሁበት ምክንያት ማለት ነው ልቀጥላ
ያ ችግር የለም ቀጥል።
እኔ እንትን ነኝ ፍሮንት ኢንድ ዴቨሎፐር ነኝ እና ከዛ ይሄ አሁን ለምሳሌ ፍሮንት ኢንድ ዴቨሎፐር አሁን ለምሳሌ ፉል ስታክ ዴቨሎፐር ምን ነው አላ
ያ
ፉል ስታክ ዴቨሎፐር ሶስቱን የሚያዝ አለበት ማለት ነው ዩአይ ዩኤክስ ባክ ኤንዱን ፍሮንት ኤንዱን
ያ ኤግዛክትሊ ለዛ በተለይ ፍሮንት ኤንድ ፉል ስታክ ኮንክ you have to literally know every part of it እና people don't want that አሁን አንዳንድ ሰዎች ኮድ ማድረግ ነው ጎበዝ የሆኑት ዲዛይን ማድረግ አይችሉም so UI UX ዲዛይን የሚገባው ያኔ ነው they just do the design for you until you code it
እንትኑ ይመጣል አሉ ግን እኮ AI እንትኖች አይደል እንዴ የሆነ ፎቶዎችን ወደ ኮድ የሚቀይሩ
አለ ግን ፎቶውን ከየት ነው የምታመጣው
እኮ አሁን አንቺ UI UX ዲዛይነር ከሆንሽ ፍሮንት ኢንድ ዴቨሎፐር አያስፈልግም ማለት ነው
yeah again like sophisticated በሆነ ቁጥር AI is going to ruin some part of it like exactly እንደተፈለገው አያመጣው
okay እሺ እና አሁን ለምሳሌ እኔ እንትን
thank you
እሺ ቀጥሉ
Okay, you can finish your question.
yeah
እሺ እኔ እንትን ፍሮንት ኢንድ ዴቨሎፐር ነኝ ፖርትፎሊዮ አለኝ ሰርቲፊኬት አለኝ ግን ተቀባይነት የለውም እና እንዴት ነው እሱን ተቀባይነቱን ማግኘት የምችለው
do you use social media like LinkedIn ላይ ምናምን ፖስት ታደርጋለህ
አዎ ፖስት ማለት ምን አይነት ፖስት
No, like you can build more projects. Like you have to build up like GitHub, like to mark, ማስቀመጥ your projects, posting about it on LinkedIn. Like most of developers that I know, the best are not even like graduate አይደሉም ከuniversities, the computer science or software engineering. They're self-taught, so you don't need like to have certificates or a degree to work and take a ነገር ላይ to be a doctor, like you need to spend time, like get the መመረቅና ነገር ያስፈልጋል ደስ የሚለው computer science that you don't need to do all that you can just learn and you can like grow ማድረግ ስኪልህን so not showing off ራሱ አንድ ነገር ነው አውቀህ ብቻ ስኪልን መቀመጥ ሳይሆን like አስቀምጠው GitHub ላይ like show it off on LinkedIn that's how you get jobs and offers okay So I think we have one more question before we close from Rita Melaku. It says, Saron, okay, what is your roadmap and like what time was like a bit of a struggle for you?
So if you're a student struggling, it was struggling with working and learning. It was for a short period of time. Gonna soon cool matric so even after you graduate actually like dedicating your time to learn የሆነ ነገር is difficult so I need to do this ምናምን ብለሽ ቁጭ ብለሽ ተምረሽ and then after you do that and after you give your product to the client and then getting another problem which is your client's feedback criticism ማለት ነው basically is very difficult so you're a university student so if you're a university student basically managing your time when you have to study you have to prepare for your classes and then practice ማድረግ is very ከባድ ግን at the end of the day that's a sacrifice we all have to do and it's going to be worth it ምንም ያለሽንም አንድ ሰዓቱንም 30 ደቂቃ every like በሳምንት ሁለቴ ምናምን practice ማድረግ will take you በጣም ትልቅ ወይ እና እኔ ዩኒቨርሲቲ የነበርኩ እሱን ባደርግ በጣም like የምፈልገው ነገር ነበር because already ከወጣሽ በኋላ you will not have time ቁጭ ብለሽ practice ለማድረግ because even though you have time it's not going to be a good time to practice because you have to get a job ግን እዛው የተማርሽ ያለ already skillsሽን ብታዳብሪ እና ልክ ስትጨርሺ you're going to be like accompanied with lots of projects and lots of knowledge you're going to go straight into the working industry so yeah that's my advice yeah Aida
Okay, thank you. So my question goes to Betel. Betel, can you tell us more about the GDG thing you mentioned earlier and like how can we form the group? And also my second question is, can you walk us through like every step you went to become a Google Women's Tech Ambassador? Like if we don't have time now, we can like have another session, or like you can post it on the channel. Thank you.
Okay, it is a long process to explaining like all the Google developer like communities and how to sign up to them. It will be like a long process, and like I'll host another meeting like this another time. How about that? At the meantime, you can text me or email me.
All
Hopefully.
right, that sounds great.
Okay. Yanit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I've been working on as a UI UX designer for about 2 years. Again, like on the side, like I'm a software engineer, but I also do UI UX because I enjoy it. So after some time, I just like I was very passionate about it, and now like pursue ማድረግ ፈለኩና I just did some projects like passion projects and redesigning of like already existing websites ምናምን. And now I also did logo designs. So I tried to apply for jobs in Upwork ምናምን like እነሱ ብዙ ፕሮጀክት አልነበሩም like 3-page projects እንደዛ ነገር ነበሩ እና some of them like ወደ front end የቀየርኳቸውም ነበሩ. So I did like I applied using those. Again, it's really hard to land that first job. So you wanna reconsider ሳረገው እና when I think about it, maybe it's you know the projects don't showcase that much የሚለውን ነገር አሰብኩና so now የሆነ project hunting ላይ ነኝ like what project should I choose እና የሆነ like ታይሜን ኢንቨስት አድርጌበት actually like የሆነ output yield የሚያደርግ ወይም ደግሞ I would land a job using that project ብዬ ማስባቸውን እየፈለግኩ ነበርና what kind of like comprehensive የሆነ comprehensive የሆነ project idea would you recommend? Like do you recommend የሆነ and project idea ሆኖ desktop version and also mobile app version መስራት or like የሆነ አንዱ ላይ ማተኮርና like more comprehensive ማድረግ የቱን recommend ታደርጋለች?
Okay, you're very good at explaining. And now one thing I advise you here is እዚህ አገር እስከኖች ድረስ it's more of ከዩኒክ በላይ ያለውን መድገም ነው like more የሚያስፈልገው so በጣም የሚያስፈልገው እዚህ ሀገር as an app is deliver የሚያደርጉ አፖች like ቢዩ ምናምን that is being created again and again እና ዲማንዱ አያልቅም የሱ አፕ እና that app ጥሩነቱ it has lots of pages it has በጣም ብዙ መስራት ያለብሽ ነገር እሱን አፕ ለመጨረስ so it teaches you a lot it's actually needed by በጣም ብዙ ሰው like አንድ ሰው ተነስቶ I'm going to create this delivery company this something basically ማገናኘት ከሆነ end user ወደ client ጋር የሚያገናኘት እንደ ራይድ ምናምን ማለት ነው it has the end አንድ አይነት ኮንሰፕት ነው ያለው እና ሁለቱም በጣም ብዙ ፔጆች ናቸው ያላቸው እና people use apps more than they use websites እና አፕ ነው ብዙ ሰው የሚጠይቅሽ ከዌብሳይት በላይ ስለዚህ አፕ ብትሰሪ እና እንደዚህ አይነት ዴሊቨሪ or like ራይድ ምናምን ፈረስ ነው አይነት አፕ ብትሰሪ like ዲዛይኑ more it's more ተፈላጊ
Okay, thank you.
I see one more question that said there is a way I think is there a way we could work over the phone like designs
over the phone for UI UX design is very difficult. Maybe if you're a graphic designer just doing posters ምናምን ትንሽ possible ሊሆን ይችላል ግን actually doing that over the phone is very difficult. Figma doesn't work on phone RAS.
Okay. Any final words you want to say before we close this session?
Not much, but what I want to say is I was in everybody's shoes. I couldn't land a job for UI UX design for many years. Not many years, for many months. And what actually helped was what I said, is what everybody says, is actually doing it and marketing yourself. Marketing yourself is easy. and this is all you need. So don't give up. Literally work on yourself. More than applying jobs, work on yourself, and then you'll eventually get there. And thank you all for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saron, for walking us through your journey and sharing your amazing knowledge and conversing with the attendant. So I want to say thank you so much. And thank you for all for attending to learn something. So I think this is it. This is the closing. And
Thank you so much.
goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.